You walk into an office. The employer looks at your resume and is very impressed. Your body language is good. You project great confidence. Everything is going perfectly. However, he then notices a physical trait you have and decides not to hire you. What was the problem? Was it your ethnicity? Did you not floss? Was it your freckles? It was none of the above, folks. It was your visible tattoos. I'll be talking about tattoos in the workplace and how it relates to those who either have tattoos or would like one in the future. Coming from someone who wears tattoos, I've had to be flexible with my work attire because of the way it's portrayed in today's society. Today, I would like to talk to you all about the social norms that regulate the exposure of tattoos in the workplace and how it is unfair to both those who wish to be hired for a certain job and to those who currently work their job. Tattoos should not dictate whether a person should get hired or fired for a job. First, I would like to talk about the history of tattoos and how, as a result, certain cultural norms think of it as a sign of social deviance. Second of all, I would like to discuss the employer's protocols in hiring employees for certain job positions and how it could be problematic for those who have or want tattoos. Third off, I'd like to discuss how prevalent tattoos have become in modern times and how the symbolism has changed so that it should be widely acceptable. First off, tattoos have existed for a very long time. According to a research by Michigan State University, the earliest signs of tattooing have existed as early as 3300 BC. Tattoos were, according to historyoftattoos.org, used for decoration, spiritual or sacred uses, cosmetics, or even for medical purposes. However, not everything associated with ink has good intentions. The Nazis, during World War II, tattooed their prisoners to ID certain traits that they had. They're also often associated with crime. According to the Columbia Electronic Encyclopedia, in modern Western cultures, it has been alternately regarded as a somewhat vulgar practice and as a sign of high fashion. It has also been used by modern states as an instrument of control and as in the identification of criminals and political prisoners. Andrew Lichtenstein also said, and I quote, "In the United States, many prisoners in criminal gangs use distinctive tattoos to indicate facts of the criminal behavior, prison sentences, and organizational affiliation. Japan also prohibits most tattooed civilians from spas and swimming pools due to fear of associating with the Yakuza." Because of the negativity associated with some of these deviant activities, tattoos are still not widely acceptable in today's society. Secondly, I'd like to talk about how tattoos can influence the chances of being hired by an employer and how it could affect those current employees. Chris Gimbel, a spokesperson for Starbucks Corporation, said that employees generally see the chain as trying to present a clean, neat environment and are willing to adhere to its policies. A few employees have been terminated for refusing to remove tattoos and piercings. Starbucks requires employees to cover all tattoos and remove certain piercings. I've also had my fair share of covering my tattoos in the workplace. I used to work in Rowland Heights as a waiter in a Korean barbecue restaurant. After I was hired, I was required to keep my tattoos hidden at all times. Rowland Heights is notorious for having gangs, many of them predominantly Asian. This also happened to be during the summer, and I could not roll up my sleeves even on hot and humid days. If you have a tattoo and want to work a fairly social job, be prepared to keep it hidden. If you currently work and would like to put ink on yourself, your job may influence where you'd like it and how much of it could potentially be exposed. Lastly, I'd like to talk about tattoos and its usage and meanings in modern times. Though some traditional uses may have put a bad mark on people with tattoos, it has become much different today. According to Heather Bogus from AssociatedContent.com, The tattoo culture is defined as an exclusive, distinctive group of individuals who show enthusiasm for tattoos that has specific, unspoken requisites for acceptance and consequent experience of connection to one another based on shared life experiences. Those who argue against tattoos use false dichotomy to support their claims. You either have ink or you either don't have ink or you do and are a criminal or a rebel. Not only is that false dichotomy, it also uses oversimplification of the matter itself. As I stated earlier, there are many uses of tattoos. Each one could have several meanings relative to the person it's on. Many of my friends, for example, have tattoos that reveal a little bit of their personalities. Some get it to show signs of individualism. None of them are gangsters or criminal masterminds, and they certainly weren't forced to wear one. I have now told you all a brief history of tattoos and its usage, employer tactics of hiring based on tattoos, and how tattoos are seen and used in modern times. According to the Harris poll conducted in 2003, there are estimates that 16% of all Americans now have one or more tattoos. 36% of those are ages 18 to 25, and 40% of those are ages 26 to 40. Make no doubt about it, people. Our age group is heavily affected by certain employers stigmatizing the tattooed community. The economic crisis is already bad, and many people are struggling to find or keep their job as it is. Imagine having all the qualified traits for a certain job position, only to be turned down just because of your tattoos. You aren't a deviant to society. You do not engage in criminal behavior. All you're trying to do is become a decent citizen, do your work, earn your wage, and make a living. I hope that today I have persuaded you all that social norms and traditions should not stereotype people with tattoos. They should be treated equally with other applicants, and it should be part of the employment protocol to not put tattoos into hiring consideration. Thank you.
All right, Mina, what did you think?
I thought you did really well. I noticed towards the end you kind of picked up your speed a little bit. And I thought if you slowed it down, you kind of, you took your time, you would have been a little bit more cool and collective. I liked the topic because it affects all of us, not all of us, but most of us. And you just had good statistics, and I thought you did a really good job.
All right, you're probably not going to like this. I thought you made a better argument for not getting a tattoo than for employers changing their standards. You talked about all the negative consequences that face people who have tattoos and the potential problems that they're going to have in employment and the way that they might be stereotyped with some other group or confused and the social stigma that goes along with it. And if I was sitting here listening to this and I was thinking about getting a tattoo, you've just made a good argument for why I shouldn't get a tattoo. Now, what you need to do is, because it sounds like your point is to go the opposite direction and talk about why it is a problem for employers having restrictions on those kinds of things. Now, you've got your personal experience that you talk about, but you haven't discussed what you mentioned it very briefly with the reference to the Starbucks issue, why it is that the employers are concerned about these kinds of things and what their issues are. And I don't think you've done enough to suggest that their concerns and their issues are not valid. You simply explain why they have those concerns and issues, but you haven't shown why they are not something that people would be worried about. The description of the tattoos, like you said, that there's a variety of tattoos, but imagine if we were to discriminate between people based on the kind of tattoo that they had. Would that be an acceptable sort of thing? So, for instance, if you've got a tattoo of a flower on your hand, that's okay for you to work in a restaurant. But if you've got a tattoo of a naked woman on your hand, that's not really okay. Do we want to have people making those kinds of choices for us? Or maybe it's a political statement, for instance. You've got Obama tattooed on your forearm, and somebody else has a swastika tattooed on their forearm. Should we treat both of those people the same way in this situation? I think that you've introduced a potential complication here on the issue. I think the idea of maybe arguing for a compromise is a good strategy. At the end, you seem to be suggesting that we should bail out on having any evaluation of this, and I didn't think that you built the case for that. You built the case the other direction. All right, I got to